A very good evening to everyone. So, today we will discuss the sixth unit poem that is The Holocron by William Shakespeare, one of the most eminent writers in English literature. So, before move on to the poem, we will have a short intro about the author. Right, William Shakespeare is known as the king of English literature. So, it is must to know about him. So, let me read out. Let me tell you what is the important thing about a king. Right, the Holocron is all about a king. So, before that, let me introduce with the author. Right. So, William Shakespeare was an English playwright. Is a poet and an actor, a widely regarded as the greatest writer in English language and the world's greatest dramatist. And he is often called the England's national poet. So no poet has given such a kind of name apart from this William Shakespeare. So he was called the national, English poet. And his extant works, including the collaborations, consist of 37 plays and 154 sonnets. So he has given 37 plays. If you check internet, they might have given 39, that is two later works. But if you see, he has given 37 plays and 154 sonnets and 2 long narrative poems and few other verses. Some of them are uncertain with authorship. So this is all about the author William Shakespeare, right? So an important thing you have to keep in mind is he has written 37 plays and 154 sonnets. I think you know what is the sonnet, right? Sonnet is a small narrative piece of poem which carries only 14 lines, right? So that is said to be sonnet, right? It has two sections. One is sestet and the octave. So these are the important aspects about the thing that is called sonnet, right, children? So I think you would understood that author's description. So let's move on to the next thing, that is the explanation of this poem, that is the Holocron by William Shakespeare. So please listen carefully. It's a narrative, it's an historical poem, right, which took an extent, right, it took from the play that is called Richard II, right, and moreover it is an play, it is a real incident that happened, right. It is not a story, it's not a something like which is not happened, but it is a real incident that happened in the history. Okay, so listen carefully. It is like something, a betrayal. So the main thing, it is betrayal. Because of the betrayal, how a king suffers. So that is the thing that is called the poem carries. So all the things carries about the poet. The king is his lamenter. He's lamenting, right? This is a sorrowful poem. So just listen to the poem very carefully, and so that you can understand it, right, children? So it is your duty to listen now. Okay, we'll move on to the poem. Fine. Okay, right. Okay, fine. So let me tell you, before going to the poem, let me tell you the historical background which you have to know, right? It's a must to know about the historical background of this poem. So this poem, the Holocron, it is an extract from a lengthy play that is called Richard II. So the name of the play is Richard II. From this, a small extract is given over here. Take for example, in 10th you might have studied about a poem called If, right? It is a lengthy poem written by Rudyard Kipling, and a small extract comes like a poem that is called Manliness. I think you would have studied, or the previous batch, 10th batch, you would have studied. So same way, if you see about the historical background of this poem, that is, it is a real incident that happened towards the 14th century, right? It is a real incident which happened towards the end of the 14th century, and the king of England, that is Richard II. So Richard II was the king of England in the year 1367. So when he came from the Irish War, he found that something happened in his country. You know what is that? The thing it is, he was deposed, right? He was dismissed from his position of king in that country, England, right? He was deposed as the king by his cousin, especially his cousin. That's why I'm telling you, we should never believe anybody, especially relationship Relations is always, right? Relations is always something. It's for a time being. That's all. So he was deposed, right? He was sent away as from the throne, right? By his own cousin. His name is Bolingbroke, right? His name is Bolingbroke, and he named himself as the King Henry IV, Henry the Fourth, right? King Henry the Fourth. He named himself as King the Henry IV. So, and this is a poem about how he was, right? The King Richard II. He has, he describes how he was when he was in the position as a king. And what happened finally? He was sent, right, to the prison for a short day. His long days he spent in the prison, right? And he is dismissed from his throne, and he was straightaway sent to the prison, and he died as a prisoner. He died as a captive. He died as a prisoner in the prison. See, just see the life of a king. That's why we should never believe anyone in the world. Apart from the God and our parents, we are not supposed to believe anyone. If you believe someone, means definitely they'll do something. Like the man, that is Henry of Brooks, right? So this is the background history of the poem. And you know, the poems, the poetic lines, what the poetic lines shares with us is how he suffered. Is a lamentation. Is a lamentation of the king for his country people, for his life. So that is the important aspect is given over in this poem. So let me tell you, or let me give you, I have narrated as a story. So I'll explain you this thing as a story. Listen to the poem very carefully. Okay, children, we will move on straightly to the poem. Fine? Okay, fine. Let's move on to the poem. So how he begins the poem, poetic lines, you know. The poem begins as so. Let's talk of graves, worms and epitaphs. You know, if a poem ends, the poem should begins with enthusiastic, happiness, right, eagerness. But how he begins the poem, you know, it is something like a lamentation, a sadness. Let's talk of graves, worms, epitaphs. I think we know the meaning for the word graves, worms. You know, epitaphs. You have to know the meaning for the word epitaphs. You know what is the meaning of epitaphs? So after the death, right, on the tomb, they used to inscribe a small stone, right, naming the person who died there, and when he was born, and when he died, and which place he belongs to. So they used to put it on a stone. That is said to be epitaphs. So what the king he says, let's talk of the grave. What is the meaning of this, you know? Therefore, we are all going to die. Why he says so, you know? Previously, they were under the king of Richard II, that is the king. But now, all they were under a dictator, right? A man who is something like Hitler. That man is Henry of Bolingbroke. So, in the hands of that man, nothing going to remains. They can't live a freedom life. They can't be as free as they were in the time of the King Richard II. So that's why the king says, even for the king, he says so means, then think about the people of the country England. How they will suffer under the hands of the King Henry of Bolingbroke. So that's what the author, that's what the Richard II, he says, let's talk of graves. Let's talk of our death. Let's talk of our epitaphs. And after that, what? Only grave, only the worms will be there on our body. So thereafter, we are not going to say, or we are not going to share any happy things. Only one thing that is left, it is death. Right? So we need to, right? We need to wet the earth. We need to shed our tears on the earth, and with that we should write our history. We should shed our tears. We should shed our tears, and we should write on the earth that we lived a happy life, but now we are going to die soon. Okay, we are going to die soon. So therefore, nothing left over on their hands, because everything will be taken by the new king, that is Bolingbroke. Bolingbroke, he will carry all the things that belongs to the King Richard II, and as well his country people. So that's why he says what he says, you know, nothing remains in our hand, and thereafter we are going to be a slave under the hands of Bolingbroke. We are going to be the slave. Therefore, only one thing that is remaining. What it is, that is death alone remains. Nothing is there on our hand. And moreover, our will, right? Our property, everything he will take over. So the thing it is, everything we need to surrender under the hands of the new king, that is Henry Bolingbroke. That is like Henry Bolingbroke. So the first 4 to 5 or 6 times he shares about the death. Okay, children. So we will move to the second thing. Okay, fine. Okay, listen. So the next thing what he shares, the thing it is, their lives, their property, their land, their children, everything will belongs to Bolingbroke. Nothing is going to come with them. Everything he will take. And that's why he is calling, right? He called his country people to sit on the ground. You know where it is? It is on the graveyard. So, they are going to live for a short while thereafter. So, he called his country people to sit on the ground, to sit on the graveyard and to talk about how they were and to talk about what kind of life they had. And they want to share and they want to sing a lament song. And they want to share the bitter experience they are in now. So he called his subject means the country people, to sit on the ground, to sit on the graveyard especially, and to tell the sad stories of the king, to tell the sad story, how they were, how they are suffering now, and how their life will be. Nobody knows about their future, right? And there is no constant and there is no hope for their life. So he called his subject people to share or to sing a song of a lament or to share all those things, especially the king's history. So the next thing, third thing he shares, about the kings. So Richard II shares the next part about the kings, how the kings were, how they are dethroned. How they are dethroned for the crown, dethroned for the power. So that he says. So under this, he has given 4 important things. How the kings are deposed from their position. Some kings, they will be killed in the war, only for the crown, only for the power. If you go for the war, what will happen? Definitely you will be killed. Otherwise, the opponent king will be killed. So you will get the king, you will get the kingship, you will get the crown. Obviously, yes or no? So some some kings, they were killed in the war only for the crown, only for the power. And the second thing it is, some kings, they were hunted, they were destroyed by the ghost, magical powers. So if magical powers comes, then what will happen? Definitely, if a person do some black magic against the king, definitely he will go mad. Then what will happen? The opponent king will come and he will rule over. That's all. The kingly crown, the kingly power will go off. So some kings, they were hunted or they were destroyed by the ghost. And the third one, that is, some kings, they will be killed by their own wives by giving poison. They will be given poison by their own wives, right? See how pathetic of a king, how pathetic situation for a king it is. They'll be killed by their own wives, and they will be. And the fourth thing is, some kings will be betrayed, as now it is happened in the king's life, Richard II at present, right? So under these or the 4 things, everything will goes only for the crown, that kingly crown. Yes or no? Kingly crown. So for the kingly crown, the kings were deposed only to get the power to rule the country, to have the power and for their generations. Everything will be there for that purpose. So these are the ways a king will be deposed. A king will be dismissed from his position, dismissed from his authority, right? Or these are the 4 things he shared. These are things will happen for a king. So he was betrayed, right? He was betrayed by his cousin, King of Henrybrooks. Okay, fine. So what is the next thing he shares? That is an important thing. The crown. What is the next thing he talks about? The crown. The king used to wear, no, that is actually crown. The kingly crown. So now he is dethroned. Now he is not a king. Previously he was on the throne and he used to wear the kingly crown, but now he was on the graveyard, sitting with his own country people. So what he says, he says, now the kingly crown, the hollow crown, it is laughing at the King Richard II. You know why? The king, the crown is talking to him. In what way? Previously you used me, now somebody using me. And after that, somebody will use instead of that fellow. Same way, what the crown, the hollow crown, what it says, right? It is made up of a metal, right? It is a non-living thing, but the non-living thing now it is mocking. Now it is laughing at the king. So a person who wears the crown, he'll have the authority, he'll have the power. So which one decides he is a king? Only the kingly crown decides the person is the king. Suppose even if a king, he is dethroned, the crown will not be given to him. So it will be given to some other persons. So the kingly crown will decide the man who will be the king. So that's why the kingly, crown, it is laughing at the man who Richard II. It is laughing at it is mocking, right, at the King Richard II. How you were, how you used me, now how you are. Nothing is there on you. Nothing is there with you, and nothing is going to come with you. Only your subjects, only your people. Now you can't use me. Previously, that's what it says. The kingly crown, it is talking to the persons, talking to the kings. What it says? The people, those who wear me, only will get the power. The people, those who wear me, only they will get the authority. Suppose, if it is not given to that person, he has no power. Right? So everyone, right, in the world, everyone, they are in a position, to maintain the power, to maintain the authority by having such kind of a kingly crown. So that's what the author, that's what the Richard II he says. Now he's talking to the people, his subjects, his country people. You know what it is? I am also an ordinary human being like you. By saying this, he completes a poem. I am also an ordinary people like you, with having lot of fun, with having especially lot of sorrows. At least you people, you are common people. But I was a king. I was a king. How can I maintain this one? How can I remain in this situation? He feels so sad about his life. He feels so sorry. He feels so sorry about his life. How I was. Right? So, but people, they used to give him respect when he was a king. People, they gave him respect when he was a king. But now, that respect gone somewhere. The soldiers never respecting him. When he was as a king, the soldiers, the country people, everyone they respected because he's a king of England, the whole England. But now, he's not a king, so nobody gives respect to him. Only few. The people, those who have a friendship with him, they respect him, but not all the people. So, the kingly crown decides the authority. People are fighting to get that kingly crown. What is happening in and around the world. I think in India, around the world, what is happening all over the world. Everyone fights for the power. Everyone fights for the authority. Everyone fights something. I have to rule the whole world. Same way, this happened in centuries back. So all these things came from the past history, and people now are copying from there to now. Right? So the kingly crown is laughing, is mocking at the king. Now you are not a king. Now you are an ordinary a man. Right? And now the king Richard II is talking to his fellow people. I am also a ordinary human being like you. How you feel thirst how you feel hungry, same way, I too will feel hungry, I too will feel thirst, I too have sorrows, I too have pathetic situations, I too have betrayals, a lot of things is shares. But previously people used to say that you are a king. I think for a king, they lead a happy life. Never, exactly not. That's what the King Richard says. You may think that a king may lead a happy, a pleasure life. Not at all. More than you, I have lot of troubles. I have lot of problems. I have lot of betrayals. I can't believe anyone. That's what the king says. So never think for a king nothing will happen. Never think a king will always lead a happy life. Never think like that. So I am the best example for the betrayed king. Right? So that's what the poet says. So by concluding this, what situation you have, same situation I too will have. And what problems you have, same problems I too will have. So how you call me as a king. So he's concluded the poem by saying how you will call me as a king when I have the same situation of yours. Right? So what is the thing? What is the central theme of this poem? It is sorrow, sadness, pathetic, lamentation. It is common for everyone. Nobody's exception from this case. You may think that the rich people, they are leading happy life. Never, not at all. You may think that the people, those who own power, will lead a happy life. Never, not at all. Exactly not. All they'll have their own problems. You think the people, those who earn a lot of money as a salary, do you think that they're happy? No, not at all. They'll have their own problems. Right? Only the situations, only the way they live, that will be different. Only that will be different. But inside, everyone will have their own problems. Everyone will have their own pathetic situations. So that's what the poem also deals about the thing, right? So everyone have their own problem. So kingly crown is not a permanent one. Power is not a permanent one. Authority is not a permanent one. It will be changed. It will be changed. So change alone is permanent, right? Change alone is permanent. Nothing is permanent apart from change. Change alone will get. So change will always change. So as a king, he was in such a situation, but now how he is? He came to, to the people, to the downtrodden people. He is one among the common people. Now he is asking, how will you call me as a king? Now I am not a king. Such a way he concluded the poem. Okay, children. So hope you understood this poem. So if you have any doubt, kindly let me know with the WhatsApp text or call so that I can rectify doubts. So once again I am telling you, the pandemic situation goes very worse. So it is your prior thing. You have to be very careful. So be safe, be secure, right? So see you in the next class. Until then, take care. Bye bye. See you.